Hey everyone, welcome to this masterclass. I am Jonathan Mast. I'm your host, and I am thrilled to have with me today Lane Houk from Signal Genesis. Lane and I have known each other now for a number of years, and he's a great friend and probably one of the foremost experts I know when it comes to SEO. And I'm really excited today to chat with everybody about local SEO and how we can leverage local and AI together. And Lane's one of the people that I know that understands both aspects of that. So Lane, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to get some insights and hear what you've got to say. For those people that maybe aren't familiar with you, Lane, why don't you do just a quick elevator pitch introduction? Let them know a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much. Great to be with you and in this AI prompting mastery class or masterclass. Super appreciate you having me on here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Signal Genesis. I'm also the founder and CEO of Quantum Agency, a white label fulfillment agency exclusively for other agencies. Signal Genesis is a signal generation platform. It's a unique piece of technology that we've developed that leverages the authority of news, media, radio station, other types of sites like that, and leverages digital PR in a very unique way, methodology, and execution that generates real results, moves the needle in the rankings. As you know, we have lots of agencies that are using it in their monthly fulfillment as part of their overall SEO campaign. So we're really blessed to have great customers. We love our agency partners. We built the platform for agencies. We love serving the agency market in this respect and empowering agencies to scale their SEO. And obviously we're constantly innovating and doing new things to stay on that cutting edge.
Well, talk to me a little bit, Lane, about local. Obviously, there's national SEO, and a lot of the people we talk to, especially in the agency world, they're looking at that because they're focused on a particular niche and trying to focus on that. But yet a lot of the clients that we work with, and I know a lot of the people on the call here, they're interested in that local SEO when you're serving primarily a local marketplace. Talk to me a little bit about the types of things that business owners need to be thinking about. And, from your perspective, does AI help or does it hurt in that process? And I know that's a couple different questions, but kind of give us that introductory from your perspective with years of experience in SEO. What's the importance of that local SEO to that business?
Sure. So, we'll start at the highest level, the local part of the algorithm, which drives the local part of search results. And so as a business owner, you need to be concerned with the local search results, because when your target audience, and this applies to probably 95 to almost 100% of all industries, not 100%, but I'd say 90, 95 for sure. When a consumer types in any type of search phrase to search for something, Google's algorithm will return 3 different map results as part of that overall search engine result page, or SERP for short. And so inside of that search engine result page, those 3 map results are directly tied to local businesses. And so thus the term local SEO. And so if you're one of those 3 businesses that shows up in that first page of Google SERPs with your map result, which is the map result is directly tied to your Google business profile listing. And so every business can go create a free Google business profile listing for their business. If you have multiple locations, you can have a GBP listing for each of your locations. And then that GBP listing, or Google business profile listing, has the opportunity to show up on the first page of Google search results in one of those 3 spots that Google allots for local results. And so if you're one of the 3 businesses that shows up on page 1 for those valuable search phrases, it literally makes the phone ring. It literally drives, and it is the number 1 driver, by the way. It's not just a driver. It is the number 1 driver of new leads, new website traffic, new walk-in traffic for those businesses that are retail or that bring foot traffic in. It is the number 1 driver of all traffic and leads for businesses where there is local search results displayed. And so where local search results are displayed, we see it within those three map results. Obviously, there's usually more than 3 map listings for any given search. And so that's where local SEO comes into play, because you have to position your profile as one of the 3 authorities that
Mm.
will display. And so if you're not in the top 3, you're relegated to the more places link, which is page 2 and beyond. And if you're
Great place to put a dead body, right? Nobody goes there.
nobody goes there. And so there's really no value in page 2 and beyond. The only value is in one of those top 3 spots. And so that's where local SEO comes into play, which is where how we use SEO, where we drive authority directly into the local ecosystem. And so at the highest level is your Google business profile listing. That's kind of the number one asset within local SEO. But to drive authority to that listing, there's a number of other factors kind of within that are in play that we or levers, if you will, that we leverage to drive more authority to that GBP listing to drive it up to the top, one of the top 3 spots. That was
Love
about,
that.
and that was an
No,
answer.
no, that was good though. That was good. So that explains a lot about how it works and the importance of the map pack and where that fits in. Nuts and bolts as a local business. How do I do that? What types of things do I need to be doing in order to do well in that map pack? And yeah, what tips can we help provide to that business owner on a local basis to have a chance there? I mean, obviously they can hire agencies and that's great. And we both encourage that. That's part of the business we're in. But I also think it's important that businesses understand a little bit of what needs to happen so that they don't end up with an agency that doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, you and I both met people that started yesterday and now are selling like they've been doing this for 10 years. So as that business owner,
AI, right? I mean, now everyone can become like an instant expert, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I hear it every day. You know, well, I run a large group, and we've got 120,000 members in it. And I think almost daily somebody's like, what prompts do I put in order for me to become an AI consultant? And it's like, if you don't know the answer to that, how are you going to be a consultant? But I see the same thing on SEO. I think there's a ton of people that get into SEO assuming if I just know more than you know, then I can be the expert, and hopefully you'll pay me money. For that business owner that wants to do that, let's, if you would, unpack a little bit of what are some of the things they need to be looking at on a local SEO basis, either technically or content-wise, that they should be doing.
So we'll kind of just go through a quick bullet point list of things, and if you decide you want to dive into any one of those,
that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we'll start at the top. That GBP listing, that your Google business profile listing. It has a number of it's literally an entire like ecosystem unto itself. And so once you have your GBP profile listing activated or verified, and so it's actually live, you need to fill it out completely. And Google actually now gives you a little visual cue. It's a little circle that kind of starts to fill out as you get to 100% complete. And once it's 100% complete, it also turns green. So step 1 is to get to a complete circle, green circle according to Google's own algorithm, right? And so if you don't see that circle all the way completed with green, you need to keep going in terms of completing out the major fields, the major components of your GBP listing. And there are many, right? It's not only just the major information like your address and your website and your hours of operation and your phone number. It can include a booking link if you do any kind of bookings. It can include attributes. It can include reviews. Obviously, it includes photos. You need to upload a logo and a cover photo of your business at a minimum in order to get to complete. You can add more photos in that, and please do. You should. So there's all sorts of things that you need to do just in that one spot, and that's first step. So once you get your GBP listing completed, really filled out, and what you're doing there is you're teaching both the algorithm and any consumers or target audience that land at your listing what it is that you do beyond just finding out that, hey, this is where we're located, right? So that's step 1. It's really important to have that done. And if you're a business that's hired an agency to do this for you and you don't have a complete profile, then they haven't even done what it takes on the very first step. That's like the foundational step, okay? Next step, once you have that completed, is you want to take a basic step of getting your business information into all the major directories.
Yes.
This is what we call list directory listings or citations. it's not something to pay a lot of attention to. It's something that you should relegate to literally probably a one-time subscription to get your business information blasted out through all the major listings. There's a couple you can use different services like Data Axle or other data aggregators, or you can use services like Yext, Uberall, things like that. But you got to check that box. You got to get the major listings there because Google's actually looking for that footprint. And if you don't have that major footprint with other authority listings like Apple's system, city pages, super pages, all those different major directory listings, then the algorithm just thinks there's something off here from an authority standpoint because you're not showing up where other people are showing up. So that's step 2. Step 3, and it really maybe could be step 1, but it really is pay attention to the website. Yeah. Your website is of paramount importance. It used to be maybe not so important in the local SEO game, much larger importance in organic, national, global SEO. But when it came to local SEO for many, many years, you didn't even need a website for many, many years. You could actually create your own website inside your Google listing. Now you can't do that anymore, but you could.
Yeah, they took that away, yeah.
That GBP site, that Google site that you could create there would be enough to rank your Google listing in the local search results. And that was enough to drive tons of new business into the majority of business. They didn't even really need a website. Okay, those days are gone. Those days were gone about 24 months ago. Today, you need to have a really good, solid foundational website with good foundational technical SEO completed on it. You can't have duplicate content. You can't have straight AI content on those sites. You got to have good technical and what we call technical and on-page SEO done. We can talk here maybe in a little while about how to automate some of that now with AI. But that box needs to be checked. It's really, really important because Google is using the website now as one of those foundational ways to verify businesses and really look at their footprint and their authority, and really look at are they really contributing to their community, their target audience with helpful content, not just any content, which I'm sure I know you talk a lot about how to leverage AI to generate helpful content versus using just straight AI, ChatGPT type content that will actually hurt you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think you bring up something really important there. And, I think you're right. I think the website has become much more important recently. And it's interesting as Google changes over to its search generative experience. I know there's some people who go, websites aren't going to matter anymore. I personally don't subscribe to that. I think that's where Google is going to be getting that information about you, to where the other search engines like Perplexity have been getting that. And while certain things may change, at the end of the day, at least on the studies that I've seen, almost 90% of customers.
They're doubling down on the site. They're not like disregarding it a lot more. They're actually going, that's what I just kind of got done saying. They're actually looking at the site more, not less, in this world of AI. Now, it's not just content. Like, there's a lot of things we could spend a whole session just on
no doubt,
technical SEO. But you've got to have that done, and it's got to be really well thought through, good content. And that's where we get into some of the more local bullet points. Well, on your website, you've got to have these local pages, and that's where local SEO kind of ties in. You were going to say something? Sorry.
No, I was going right where you were, which is, let's talk about those local pages. And they're different names. Sometimes we call them local service pages, local pages, things like that. How does a business do that on their website effectively? And then once they've done that, how do they amplify that through letting people know? I mean, what tools exist to help amplify? Because it's one thing to put it on our website. It's then another thing to amplify that so that not only Google, but the other relevant sites learn about that and find out about that. So are those local service pages still important?
They are. And what I'll do is we'll start with your question by answering what people have done wrong and/or
there we go.
Google is now penalizing. So for many years, these local pages worked really, really well to help expand the rankings within a local area. And so if you're a local business, and I mean, let's just take we'll just take Miami, Florida for hypothetical reasons. If you're a business in Miami, Florida, obviously you don't just service the city of Miami. There's zip codes in other cities around Miami, like Kendall and South Miami, and there's all
Dadeland, and all kinds of them,
Right, exactly. So, and every business knows this, right? If you're in whatever local area, and all those other neighborhoods and other cities and zip codes that are important to you, but are not maybe right, smack dab where your business is located or where your business listing is located. And so, for years, agencies, SEOs use local pages to teach the algorithm, hey, this business is also really relevant for these services in these other cities, not just the city that it's actually located in physically. And that worked really well. And the way that most agencies and or SEOs or businesses executed this was with just taking like a straight piece of content and then just inserting the city name kind of as the differentiator for all the different pages. And so effectively what they did is they created 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 different duplicate content pages on their website. And the only difference was the city name on all those pages. Yeah. And that worked really well for many years. That was all you needed to do.
But not very helpful.
And yeah, even sometimes you still had to amplify them, which we can talk about next, to try and drive authority to those pages. But the duplicate content really didn't matter. Okay.
Yep.
So Google really caught on to this. I mean, probably the engineers at Google, spotted this, and they addressed this last year in one of the core updates. And so what happened was the majority of sites that had all these local service pages deployed on them with all the same content on them got whacked like really hard. Like we can call it whatever you want, but all of those pages basically got disregarded because they were not helpful, like you just said.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, any traffic that you were getting to those pages just literally fell to zero. And so that was responsible for seeing this cliffhanger of traffic on what happened to a lot of sites. And that was largely responsible as part of the overall helpful content system update. Was this type of content was deemed not helpful. It was obviously written for SEO purposes, not to actually help an audience of a local city. And so there we go into, we're going to cross over into now what to do, right? So if you're going to create these local service pages, and they are, and they can be still very helpful, but in order for them to be helpful to your SEO efforts, they have to be unique content. And we have to think about what actually will be helpful to users in a certain city. So when you create these pages, they have to be unique content. And then I would start doing things like adding neighborhood level content, like adding information about the neighborhoods, adding information about local schools, adding things like local weather. These are the things that would matter to a local audience. And they're obviously all different city by city by city. And so by just focusing on neighborhoods and weather and points of interest and events in those local cities or neighborhood should be part of really the city, right? Then you're automatically going to start creating unique content for those city service pages. And so during these algorithm updates, we'd already addressed this in our deployment. When the way we've deployed these service pages for years has been with Google API connections, feeding unique API local content, neighborhood content, weather content, POI content into those pages, but doing it automatically through the APIs. What I can tell you through seeing with my own eyes is that as other sites were tanking, because those pages were being disregarded by the new update, the client campaigns that we had with service pages deployed on them with all that unique local content on them did not get whacked at all, right? So that's the lesson to be learned here is you've got to go deeper in your unique content for these local pages than just doing a bunch of duplicate content and throwing in some unique identifiers here and there. That won't fly anymore.
Makes perfect sense. So once you've done that and you've done that properly, you've created some uniqueness amongst those pages, you've talked about the neighborhoods like you mentioned and all that, how can a business go about amplifying that and trying to just make those pages better known to the search engines and anybody else that's looking for them?
Yeah, so two things that we do directly in our white label agency. I'll just kind of share how we do it.
Please. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is, so there's difference on a site between a page and a blog, right? A blog article. So they're both kind of the same from a URL structure, but they serve a different purpose within how Google looks at that and how it sees. And so we use blog articles and press releases to amplify and build authority to pages.
Okay.
So, all right. So all of these local service pages are just that. They're pages, and they should be pages within the URL structure. They need to be set up that way. So the way I would recommend this, is that it should be yourdomain.com/locations. And then all of the pages fall under that parent page of locations. Okay. And the locations is really a landing page with links out to all of your individual city pages. Okay. So then when it goes to /Miami, /Kendall, /Dadeland, it's yourdomain.com/locations, /Miami. Okay. So all of those are pages. All of those pages should have the type of unique content we just discussed. You can obviously leverage AI to generate a lot of that unique local content. You can ask ChatGPT or other AI engines, what are all the neighborhoods within the city of Miami? Give me information about them. Now let's create an article using this information, right? So you can leverage AI for a lot of this stuff, but it still needs to be unique content and going deeper. And then we would create a blog article about the local service page to build authority there. And what we do with our blogs is we create obviously when you do this in WordPress, every time there's an RSS feed that's automatically created within the WordPress. Right. So every time you add a new blog article to your blog, it lands directly in your RSS feed. Okay, automatically. And so what we do is we trigger a syndication network of high authority blogs that we then automatically syndicate the blog article to. And you can use something like IFTTT or Make or probably even AI today to automate that process of syndicating the blog on your original blog site or blog article to these other authority blogs like Tumblr, WordPress.com, Blogger.com, Reddit. There's all sorts of like high authority blogs that we syndicate the blog to on automation. And then that blog appears on these other authority sites with a link back to the original blog article as the original source.
Makes perfect sense.
So that's one major strategy / method for amplifying and driving authority back into a chain, because obviously the blog article is linking to the page. And so the blog article goes out to the authority blog on Tumblr. The Tumblr blog has content linking back to the blog article on the main site, which then links to the main page that you want to build authority to. Okay. And then method number 2 is we use Signal Genesis, which, my partner and I co-founded, and we built that technology to leverage digital PR and the high authority of news and media and radio station like sites throughout the country that are way more authoritative and have a lot more authority and a bigger footprint than even some of your best PBN or guest post blogging sites. And so these are live news sites with a live footprint, millions of views and pages, very deep sites. Obviously, they're live news sites. Excuse me. And so we amplify the local service page by doing a press release, and then through Signal Genesis, and then that has a unique process unto itself with our media room technology. And then we're building like authority signals in multiple categories back to any page we want to focus on inside the press release through Signal Genesis.
Wow, that is, guys, if you're on this, we've got a bunch of people live on the call with us. And by the way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know where you're from. Lane, I'd love to hear that. Well, he's in Colorado at the moment. I'm in Michigan. I would love to hear where you're from. But if you just take and replay what Lane just shared with you, he just shared with you the formula for promoting those local pages. And I want to encourage you, make sure you take a look at press releases. Don't forget about the importance of press releases and driving authority that Lane's talking about. You know, it's one thing to have something on your website. It's a whole lot better, and you can explain it better than I can, but to have a media site, even just a local media site,
Sure.
linking back to you, because Google's going to look at that site as having tons of credibility. And therefore, some of that credibility is going to roll over to you, especially if you can continue to develop links and it's not just one or two that are coming through. Yeah, just again, guys, replay the last 5 minutes. What Lane dropped there was so incredibly valuable. One of the things I want to kind of insert here a minute, of course, Lane, you know, I'm the AI guy and I love talking about AI, and there's different perspectives out there, and I respect everybody's thoughts about where AI fits into this. I'm very clearly on the fact that AI is okay to use, but it needs to assist you. It shouldn't be just doing all the work. In other words, these people that are creating 2,000 blog posts with AI, they're never proofreading them, they're dumping them in, they're going to get slapped. Plain and simple, they're going to get slapped. But I think if you use it judiciously and smartly, and then again, to assist and amplify your skill and experience, it can be helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We've not talked a lot about this. I think I know where you're at, but I'm not sure. What are your thoughts when it comes to AI-assisted content?
Well, I agree with you kind of wholeheartedly with what you just said. So AI in January, February, March of 2023, it actually probably started in December. I was already I was looking at AI. ChatGPT was just becoming popular. You know, some of these other tools started popping up, and so I was really evaluating. I'm the kind of person, I don't react to what Google does. I like to sit there and observe for at least 60 days, maybe 90 to 120. And see how things really react once they roll out updates or anything new that comes out. So I was doing the same with AI, and I made the early determination that it should be used and leveraged, but it needed to be used carefully and, like you said, judiciously. Great word. So today in our white label agency, we use it. It makes our human writers much better and much more efficient. And so we are doing more content. We're adding more value to our clients, and we're writing better content, meaning our writers are actually producing better content, leveraging AI, not just throwing in a prompt, copy and paste, and off we go. Okay, so the businesses, agencies that are doing this, for businesses that are doing that type of use of AI, meaning they're just throwing things in, they're mass producing content. It's not that they're not getting penalized. What I can tell you is they're getting disregarded, meaning Google's not even crawling those pages. Okay. It's just like Google's crawling maybe about, they estimate, this is not me, Google has said, they estimate they're crawling about 40% of the web now. So there was a day in time where they crawled 100% of the web just about every month. Okay. Today they're crawling about 40% of the web.
Wow.
Okay. And they admit that. Okay, so crawl budget, this goes into a whole other rabbit hole, crawl budget and crawl resources. But if you're not setting things up properly, your whole website will be disregarded. The helpful content is a site-wide signal, by the way. So there's a certain ratio, and Google hasn't really revealed what that ratio of pages is. But if there's a certain number of ratio of pages on your site that are duplicate or otherwise deemed to be what we call unhelpful, as the algorithm determines that, and there's a lot of things that we could talk about there, but duplicate content, purely AI generated content, content that's just, doesn't answer questions, content that's purely written for SEO and it's obvious, all that type of content, right? If there's a certain ratio of pages on your site that have that type of content, Google says it's unhelpful, and it's a site-wide signal, meaning then the whole site gets disregarded. Forget just those pages. It's all of the other helpful pages that would be helpful otherwise are also disregarded, which is why you see that cliffhanger response in terms of traffic just dropping off. And so you have to be careful, really careful on an overall site strategy here, making sure that you aren't even getting close to having any kind of a ratio of pages that are just a bunch of AI generated or duplicate content or otherwise just written for purely SEO purposes, because the whole site will just be disregarded.
So interesting. Go ahead.
What you need to do is leverage AI with humans. And so we are definitely doing more with less. And so we don't need as many human writers on the team to do more content than what we were doing before. So we have gotten more efficient, therefore more profitable, but we still have human beings involved, and we have a multi-step process in terms of prompting. You and I had a whole masterclass on prompt engineering, right?
Absolutely.
Thought framework, but there's a multi-step, multi-prompt process in our content generation strategy. And then we have an entire QA team that checks it against AI detection software to make sure that we're at over 80% detected human, less than 20% AI detection. Not that there's any certain number or percentage there that we have to achieve per se, but we just want to achieve that. And so we have tweaks and prompts that help us actually achieve a very low AI detection score as the final output that actually gets published on websites or gets amplified out to any other sites that we just talked about.
Wow. I mean, my brain is spinning with stuff and ideas. And thank you, by the way, for sharing that. I think that's amazing. The next thing that brings up to me is I'm thinking about some of the tools, and I know you've actually got something. I think it's not too early for you to share one of the new tools that's integrating what you're doing at Signal Genesis into their tool. And it's an SEO tool that combines AI, it combines all the traditional things, and now is going to include Signal Genesis. Where do those tools fit in? And when I'm saying that, these are our SEO-based tools that are analyzing your website, they're analyzing structure, they're analyzing things like that. Can you share anything about what those advancements are and how important some of those tools may or may not be as it comes to managing this?
Yeah, for sure. So we just, I'd say maybe 4 months ago, 3 to 4 months ago, we started testing a new software platform called Search Atlas. And so, it was, kind of presented to me as maybe a good replacement, a cheaper replacement of SEMrush or Ahrefs. And in our white label agency, we actually had accounts on both of those platforms. And I'm happy to say they've now been canceled. It was a great way to cancel Ahrefs and our SEMrush account into a cheaper, more robust platform. But Search Atlas just launched officially last week their new auto AI SEO agent. Okay. And so we've been testing the auto SEO AI agent for about 60 days.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just blown away. Okay. Like I'm really blown away. I came to know of Search Atlas and Monik, the founder. We met at one of the 7FA events.
Yep. That's where I met him as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we met, got to talking, and we were introduced. I was introduced for our software, and I don't know, 3 or 4 months later, the talk resumed. I think Monik had heard about some of the case studies done with Signal Genesis, and so he approached me and said, "Hey, we would love to integrate Signal Genesis into Search Atlas and offer the Signal Genesis solution as our digital PR solution inside Search Atlas." Now, I didn't know where he was going with it at the time, but I was like, "Yeah, sure, we'd love to." Like that's great. Absolutely. So we began the talks, in the end. I'm happy to say the integration, I think, is either done or like a week away from being done into Search Atlas. But where this was going and where it is now today is that this auto SEO AI agent can literally be leveraged to do just about everything I talked about in that bullet point called the website.
Wow.
And then that bullet point of amplification. Okay. And so there's a lot of effort that a business or an agency has to put forth to optimize every page on a website with the proper page title and the proper description of the page and the right keywords for that page and the right schema for that page and the right interlinking for that page. And the list
it makes my head hurt, to be honest with you.
Mine too. Like I don't like any of that. I hate that. Like I know it because I need to, but it's not like I have to go do any of that. And I don't really know anybody that does like to do it. And it needs to be done, and it's time consuming, right? Because you need to have, up until last week, for us 60 days ago, because they launched officially last week to the public, but up until 60 days ago, which is why I say I'm blown away, we had to have human beings doing every single page one page
Yes.
at a time, one description at a time, one schema type at a time. And that was time consuming, and thus it was also expensive. Like, it's just, when you have to have human beings involved. And so really leveraging AI here. So what the Auto SEO AI agent is doing is that we install a little piece of technology or JavaScript pixel on the website using into the header. So it's literally like a 2-minute login, install the pixel one time, save it, or publish it to the header and log out. Go back into your Search Atlas account and so what's going to happen, that little pixel is going to result in a bot that is installed on the site, and it's going to go crawl every single page on the site, just like a Screaming Frog might do. If you are a Screaming Frog user, it's like a bot, a crawler that's going to go and crawl every page of the site, then return all the data that's on every page, the title, the meta description, the keywords, the schema, all of that, right? So it does all the work of a Screaming Frog, but then the magic happens. Because then AI takes over with all of Search Atlas's NLP and Google and keyword data, and its AI content generation engine. It can generate content way better than a Chat GPT or a Claude, or without no additions, or without any prompting. So the AI part of the Auto SEO agent can optimize all of your page titles, all of your meta descriptions, all of your keywords, analyze the interlinking and decide which interlink should be deployed, analyze a schema and deploy schema. And all you have to do is click a button and say deploy.
Wow.
Go and either do one or all pages on the site. And so, for example, this last week, I deployed Auto to a client's website, and it found almost 2,200 potential fixes that should be deployed across 78 pages on the site.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it would have been 14 hours of work.
Wow.
It was done in 10 minutes.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And this, Lane, is, I mean, you know a lot more about this than I do. While I've met Manic, I'm not nearly up on the software as you are. It's my understanding that this is available to anybody then right now. This is something that they can use to help them out today. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. You can literally go get the Search Atlas account. I'm sure you can give them a link, for it, Jonathan.
Yeah, I say we'll put a link for a free trial in the chat there. You guys can try that out if you're interested.
Yeah, so you can get a free trial and then try out the Search Atlas account. You can deploy Auto to one website, and then obviously if you like it, you're going to have to pay for it. But it's saved just on that one website, just on the initial fixes. So obviously we keep adding new pages to a site.
That's sure
happen. 78 pages in 10 minutes, and all I did was just sit there and watch it happen. It only took 10 minutes, but I didn't have to put 10 minutes of work in. I had to put a click worth of work into it. And if you really want to say, there was probably about 2 minutes of work of going and installing the pixel on the site. So that's the amount of work that had to happen. But here, this is how we can actually leverage AI to do a lot of work for us, to create more efficiencies and to get things done that we would otherwise just never get done, right? Because these are
exactly
on a site that typically just are never going to be touched because we just don't have the time to do it.
Right. Well, I know. And I think that's what's exciting about hearing this. And it fits in with one of my big beliefs about AI and amplifying skill and experiences. These are things that, just like you said, they wouldn't get done. They wouldn't be high enough on the list of things to happen, and or it wouldn't be worth paying someone the 14 hours to go through that for the return that you might get, or we wouldn't be sure. So if you're not a huge company with somebody doing it on a regular basis, it doesn't get done. And a lot of us, especially on the smaller clients, company side, local company side, we don't have somebody to do that. And now there's a tool out there that's leveraging not only the SEO experience, not only the experience obviously that comes from Signal Genesis, but AI, and bringing all of that together to allow us to get something done that, again, would have traditionally taken hours and hours in just minutes. I think that's really cool. I'm excited about it because
I didn't even finish talking about all the things that it does. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just told me about this last night, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell everybody. This is so cool.
I mean, So once you have your Search Atlas account, you connect your Google listing to that website, that campaign,
Yep.
and launch Auto. Well, then Auto will actually post automatically to your GBP listing using AI to generate the content and using the automation of AI to post automatically to your Google listing. Oh, but it'll actually insert questions and answers. And
Oh, wow.
it'll also respond to unanswered reviews for you using AI and automation. So, you know how many businesses have 40, 100, 300 reviews? They've never responded to any of them.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. Click a button inside, and Auto will automatically for you respond to all those reviews. Those are signals that that's an active business. And then, like I talked about, the other bullet point of not just technical and on-page SEO, which Auto just completely just destroys that, right? It does it all on automation, whereas before we had to do all that with human effort. And then you also have the introduction of mistakes because human beings are involved. Here, there's just no mistakes. But then Auto can also then automate your off-page link building and signal creation, because you can actually automate a digital PR campaign through Signal Genesis right through Auto and Search Atlas.
Wow.
And so now every month you can just click the button and enable an Auto digital PR as part of your Auto campaign. So not only are you checking the box of your technical and on-page SEO, now you're going to check the box of being able to just completely automate your off-page signaling and link building and amplification processes through the Auto SEO AI agent.
My mind is just reeling with opportunities. You know me well enough, Lane. I'm thinking about all these. It's like, okay, wow, I can actually get all this stuff done that I historically, as an ADD entrepreneur, looked at and said, okay, I know that's important, but I don't have time for it right now, so it's going to get off to the side. And it's been sitting off to the side in many cases for years, not getting done, simply because it didn't, in my brain, the way my brain works, it was too much work. It was too heavy of a lift to go to that next step. I also love the fact, though, that this allows me with the Signal Genesis implementation to automate some of the digital PR stuff, which I think is an area that a lot of businesses really haven't paid much attention to. Let's, if you don't mind, and I don't want to take a lot more of your time, but talk to me a little bit about, from a PR perspective, why is that digital PR and those press releases, why is that important to a local business?
It's not if you use any of the other wire services that are out there, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
So there's a lot of options out there if you're looking at digital PR, and all of the quote-unquote wire services, PR Newswire, Access Wire, EIN Press Wire. I mean, there's lots of like quote-unquote Press Advantage, Amplifier. There's all sorts of press release or digital PR services out there, and all of them will do nothing for your SEO, okay? And it's a dirty little secret of the digital PR industry, because all of them to a T do the same thing that robs everyone of the SEO benefit except themselves. And so what happens if you use any of the other wire services, digital PR services, is they take the press release, and let's just say Joe the plumber. They take a press release about Joe the plumber and his business, and they publish that press release to their newsroom first. Okay.
So it's benefiting them entirely then.
Entirely. Okay. Because from an SEO standpoint, we all know that where you publish the content first, once Googlebot crawls that page, finds that original content on the first page it finds, that becomes, we call it the canonical, right? I mean, that's the term in the industry. It's called the canonical. So once it gets published to these large newswire services newsrooms, they get indexed like immediately. That's the original content. Any different reprint or digital PR press release of that press release showing up anywhere else on any news, media, radio, any other type of site, it only benefits that original canonical or that original page. Okay. So that's the dirty little secret of the entire newswire digital PR industry. And no one will say that. They keep saying, they'll even tell you have SEO benefit, because there's really no way that they can potentially quantify that, or that you could quantify or prove them wrong per se. But I can tell you, because of that one thing, there is zero SEO benefit coming from these PRs. Yes, you can get vanity PR and you can have the reputation benefit or the vanity PR benefit, but that's the only benefit you're going to get from any of the other PR wire services, which is exactly what caused me to get started back in 2016 on the technology that is today Signal Genesis, right? Okay, so and I found this out through trial and error, because I was in SEO, and so I was just doing experiments. And I
Sure.
was seeing back then, I was seeing actually digital PR at press releases work for SEO back in
Okay.
2014, 2015. It was just part of our content syndication and amplification strategy. So, but then between the years of like 2015 and 2017, I started noticing the effectiveness of digital PR starting to wane a little bit. And during that time, I also was testing it. And so what I found out was kind of half by accident, half because I was testing. And so I sent a press release off to the wire services, but I had already published it to my client's website first. Because I knew from an SEO standpoint that press release should show up on their website first if I want to do it for SEO. And all of the wire services rejected the press release because they said that they had found the content somewhere else on the web already and it wasn't original content.
Oh, wow. So because they
like,
weren't able to be the original, you just validated everything you're just saying.
Exactly.
No value.
Right. They required, as part of their distribution service, that the content be original before they actually would publish it and distribute it. So, I mean, that told me right there, whether it was either accidental or on purpose, they were stealing all the authority and all the authorship, right? That's the authorship.
Right.
And so then I began testing this in terms of actual results. I found one wire service that didn't do that kind of copyscape or, original content check. And sure enough, that is the one that kept working through 2015, 2016. Because I would publish it then to the blog, and then I would send it out to that wire service, and we were still getting great results while everyone else was saying digital PR stopped working for us. And so that was what led us to actually then, along with other ideas and strategies that we had around signaling and signal generation, to develop Signal Genesis, which is that platform today. And so what we do, which is why I said if you use any of the other wire services, it's going to be useless from an SEO standpoint for that reason. How we execute it 100% opposite is that we developed the media room technology, which, much like the auto pixel, right, is a little piece of very sophisticated integration code that's installed on the client's website that creates a blog-like newsroom or media room on their site, which has all sorts of optimizations and schema injection and things that we do automatically as part of that media room technology. But now, with that media room deployed or newsroom deployed to the client's website with our technology, when you publish the press release through Signal Genesis, the first place that content gets published is on the client's domain via the media room. Right.
Huge value then from an SEO perspective done that way. And then combined, I'm assuming, with a lot more signaling like you're talking about to add even more value.
We're in over 20 different Google APIs. Okay. And so, one of the things that we talked about early on was this whole thing about crawl budget and how a lot of the web is just disregarded. Like half of the battle, or maybe even more of the battle right now today in SEO, is making sure that whatever you produce content-wise, page-wise, is actually being found and indexed, crawled, rendered, and indexed by Google. I have to qualify that because so many people have a misconception or misunderstanding of what indexing really is. Okay. But if Google is not crawling, rendering, and indexing these pages, then they're useless from an SEO standpoint.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Regarding 60% of those pages. And so there are things that we're doing inside Signal Genesis that guarantee crawling, rendering, and indexation of all of these different pages and news sites and of the press releases, because we're doing it in the back end through very sophisticated methods and technologies and API integrations.
Wow. Again, just blowing my mind with the way that things work on the technical side behind the scenes, and realizing that, again, I've heard for years, and I've been in this business for years, that press releases were a great idea. I don't know that I ever heard it described just the way you did, Lane, on what and why, the simple reason why it doesn't add value when they have to have that original link. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But something never, it's one of those light bulb moments for me, just going off and going, wow, that just makes so much incredible sense. So much sense.
And the other thing is that the other half of the digital PR industry are all resellers. Okay. There are only a very few direct publishers that publish directly because of their software technology to all these different news sites and distribution outlets throughout the US and the world. Okay. And when I say a handful, I mean like 5, maybe 6 or 7. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
The rest of the digital PR industry, and I mean like the amplifiers, the press advantages, the marketers media, the KISS PRs, the Sprouts, all of those are just resellers of the 5 or 6 direct publishers like us. We're now the 4th or 5th largest digital PR syndication service in the world.
Amazing.
And it's largely because we serve agencies, not the direct business.
Right.
And because of that, we are actually completely invisible in the process. Where you go to EIN Presswire today, they're one of the bigger direct publishers, and their brand is everywhere, links back to their site everywhere. And if you're an agency and you use EIN Presswire, thinking that you're going to use them for SEO, well, I just told you the dirty little secret. And
right,
you're not getting no SEO benefit from them, and they're getting their brand in front on the PR instead of your agency brand. And if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you right now, they direct email every single business in their platform that has a PR done for them, whether it's from an agency or not. And so they're directly competing for your agency business if you're using a service like EIN. And I mean, they all do it, whether it's PR Newswire, Cision,
sure,
Access Wire, they're all going to go directly and pitch to your business client because they serve agencies and businesses. We developed our platform to be invisible or white labeled and serve the agency audience. So how we execute and how we don't compete with our agencies is also very unique.
Wow. You're blowing my mind, Lane. This is amazing. Talk to me as we bring the plane into land here. What one thing should businesses that are listening today, agencies listening today, going, okay, I finally need to get serious about this. What's the next 1 or 2 steps they should take other than reaching out to you? And I'm going to ask you just a minute. We're going to post all your links in the show notes and all that. But other than reaching out to you, or maybe including reaching out to you, what 1 or 2 things should they be doing next so they can start down this path of local search domination?
Well, I mean, I would definitely be leveraging AI. Okay, which is a whole part of this and what you're doing, Jonathan, which is phenomenal in the way you're just teaching, business owners and agencies how to actually leverage it. So, like, if you're not, you need to. And Jonathan's, masterclass and group, it is a perfect way to do that, or to learn how to do that, because you need to do that. I'm hoping that the vast majority of your audience listening is already doing that because they're in your group. And so I kind of like only qualify that like saying you need to be leveraging AI. That's like one big thing that like
sure,
just going to be eliminated from being competitive if you're not, right?
Absolutely.
So number 2, you get a search atlas account. Like you need to do this, like period, end of story. And implement it for your business and or for your agency and your agency clients. Number 3, you have to really double down on your content strategy. I think way too many people are trying to shortcut their content and their content strategy using AI, or thinking that, oh, well, if we just do a few things here or whatever, I'm going to say it again, Google's disregarding 60% of the web. Your
Amazing.
content has to stand out, not just to it has to be people first content. Like, oh, that's kind of a given. That's human first content. So it has to be written for the human audience. But if it's not written for a human audience and really you have a good, deep, original, valuable content strategy, and you can leverage AI to do that, but if it's not in place, your content is just going to be completely ignored. And I would say, just to couple with that content strategies, you have to have authorship set up within that content strategy. Okay, so authorship means assigning an individual who authored the content. Google's disregarding 60% of the web. I'm saying that again. Why are they? What part of the 60% of the 100% are they disregarding? Anonymous content. If it's not tied to an individual who has real footprints online with a real experience, you have a very, very high chance of your content being disregarded, not crawled, not indexed. So the way to combat that is to connect the dots for Google and say, hey, Google, the author of this blog article, the author of this press release is this person, an individual at the company. Okay. It can't be anonymous content anymore. You have to tie author and individual. And when you tie an individual into authorship of content, you bring EAT into the content. Okay. You can't have EAT without an individual.
Makes perfect sense. And we know Google's now looking for that EAT aspect.
In multiple systems of their algorithm, not just one. Okay. The helpful content system is obviously the biggest place now where EAT shows up, but you can't even fire EAT signals if you don't have an individual author assigned to the content. I mean,
important.
What I just said, like, you can't even demonstrate EAT on any given page or article written if there's not an individual author linked to and assigned as the author of that article. There's no
think about that, everybody. Wow.
There's no authorship of the content without an individual. It's anonymous content. And so you can't even intersect EAT into your strategy and your content without an authorship being implemented on every single piece of content you produce going forward.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If you're one of those that wants to publish content and not have your name on it, you're missing the boat. You've got to be, if you're the business owner, you need to be the author of that content. You need to develop that authorship profile. As Lane said.
That's
EAT, exactly.
Right? That's the first E in EAT, is your expertise, experience, authority, or author is the root word of authority and trust. I can't trust anonymous content. It's very untrustable. You know?
Well, and we know that's huge with Google right now, whether it's local or not. The ability to trust where that content's coming from is absolutely crucial. And with a limited crawl budget, making sure that your content's going to be crawled, that it's going to be indexed and all that, obviously that authorship is so critical, important in that process. So Lane, if people want to reach out and learn more, I did just put a link up for Signal Genesis. What other ways are the best ways for them to reach out to you to find out, again, how maybe they can partner with you or some of your other services that you guys provide?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can go to lanehouk.com. That's my personal website. There's contact information there. Signal Genesis, you can reach out through our Signal Genesis channel. Those form submissions and inquiries off of that website get to me. You can go through Quantum Agency. Obviously, my LinkedIn profile. If you Google my name, Lane Houk, number one, you're going to see my LinkedIn profile, number one, which tells you that every author of content needs to have a LinkedIn profile because Google's giving it more authority than even my own personal website, right? So reach out to me via LinkedIn. You can just do a Google search for my name. Also, when you Google search my name, I think either second or third is going to be my author page on Quantum Agency, our white label site. And you can look at my author page as a really good example of how to build out an author page. So if you're looking for sort of like a copy and paste or a template of how to build an author page, you'll see on my author page, I actually link out to all of my other profiles, my LinkedIn profile, my Reddit profile, my Quora profile, all of those profiles are linked on my author page because I'm connecting the dots for Google saying, hey, when I author something, here it is. here's my author page, and here's all my other authorship profiles. That's my footprint as an author, right? And so if you can build out your authorship profile, your content's going to get more and more juice or recognized more and more, because your authority is being built off of your authorship profile, and all your content's tied to that authorship profile. So yeah,
wow.
Connect with me through any one of these methods. Would love to chat, to talk, however I can help. Jonathan, really want to thank you again for having me. It's been awesome just chatting with you and having a
Always
talk about AI and SEO and local SEO. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of questions, so I'm happy to do a follow-up with you. If there's a bunch of questions that come up, we can do a quick Q&A session too if we need to.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. And if I'm not mistaken, you and I are both speaking down in Cancun in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, right before our meeting, I was talking with Karen Height about that. So I was talking about my session that I'm speaking down there in Cancun. So yeah, Jonathan and I are both speaking in Cancun at the Commitment Summit, July 7th through 10 or 11.
The 11th, I think. Yeah, I think arrive on the 7th, leave on the 11th, and looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Lane, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the live or on the replay. If you've watched this, guys, this is one of those masterclasses. I really mean it's a masterclass. Lane has dropped so much value here. I've been in this industry for years, and I've learned a ton of stuff today. Go ahead, take advantage of that. Learn from Lane, learn from what he's done, and don't hesitate to reach out if he can add any value. Sure. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us. Everyone, make it an incredibly great day, and we will see you